And you brought Allan Parker with us today,
Yes.
and
What
we're
an
so
honor.
thrilled.
Wait
He
for
is
you.
an attorney.
Yes. Wow.
Here's the thing. He was the attorney for Norma McCorvey, formerly Roe, of Roe versus Wade.
From 2000.
He represented her. And what did she ask you to do in the last years of her life?
She felt the abortion case was a doom upon her shoulders. She asked us to represent her to go back to the Supreme Court and ask them to reverse their own case. And sadly, the Supreme Court declined to hear it. We also represented Mary Doe, who was Doe of Doe v. Bolton. But when the Supreme Court reverses Roe v. Wade, which I believe will happen in the next 2 years, there will be something in the opinion that says, by the way, we are doing what the two women whose cases we're reversing asked us to do.
Now,
Wow.
here's the thing that's so important,
Amazing.
and you're going to hear this straight from her lawyer's mouth. Did she ever have an abortion?
No, Norma McCorvey never had an abortion. She did want an abortion, but it takes 3 years to get to the Supreme Court. It only takes 9 months for a baby to be born, so that baby was born. And Norma never felt the pain of taking the life of her own child.
Why did she change her mind about abortion?
Well, actually, she began to feel guilty when she actually worked in abortion clinics. You know, the theory is wonderful. Oh, let's let a woman and her doctor make this private decision. I represent over 4,600 women hurt by abortion.
Yeah.
You don't see the doctor until he's performing the abortion. There's no Dr. Kildare patting your hand and telling you nice things.
No.
Instead, what Norma saw was baby body parts. What Norma saw was women who were just casually getting abortions, using it for birth control. And her conscience began to bother her. She talked about hearing baby steps in the abortion clinic and wondering what that was. She heard flowers crying outside when she was getting the smoke outside the clinic. So her conscience was beginning to bother her, as it does many people who participate in abortion. But if you don't know what to do, then you just stuff it and deny it and soldier on.
That's right.
But actually, Operation Rescue moved in beside her, began to witness to her. A little girl testified of her faith in Jesus. They invited her to church, and this is classic. She heard John 3:16, and she gave her life to the Lord.
Praise God.
So Roe v. Wade is a whole different picture than what we know today.
That's right. There were two cases together. Roe was extremely deceptive. I've talked about how Norma did want an abortion, and it appeared to set up a trimester framework, like very reasonable compromises that in the last 12 months of life, these late-term abortions we're talking about today, you could even ban those to protect the potential life. But it said, but see Doe v. Bolton. And Doe was Sandra Cano's case of Georgia. And Sandra was actually a case of attempted forced abortion. Because once abortion is legal, it allows people to force other women to have an abortion. You just saw a picture of Norma and Sandra sitting together testifying before the Senate Education Subcommittee, or Senate Judiciary Committee, Subcommittee on the Constitution. And both of these witnesses have sworn about the harm of abortion, that it hurts women, it kills a baby.
Right.
And so Norma, it said see Doe v. Bolton, which created the health exception. And this is a tremendous deception that we need to break through.
Yes.
Because they'll always want a health exception to, and it sounds terrible, appealing. We want to protect women's health.
Sure.
Well, first of all, abortion damages women's health.
Yes, it does.
But even then, you think of it as something serious. And a true limitation that might be allowed is when there's a severe physical impediment that endangers the life of the mother. That's how the Texas law was that was struck down. But the Georgia law in Doe v. Bolton already was therapeutic abortion. If 3 doctors wanted you to have, felt you needed an abortion for your health, you could get one. And you would think if you were really interested in a woman's health, 3 doctors' opinion would be better than 1, wouldn't it? But the Supreme Court struck down even that law and said the decision is only between the woman and the doctor who's willing to perform the abortion. And it includes psychological health. And if a woman wouldn't be happy, then she wouldn't be psychologically very well, would she? So all a woman has to say is, I wouldn't be happy having an abortion, and you're entitled to that abortion under the health exception of Doe v. Bolton. And let me just conclude with this. It sounds so wonderful, women. Well, in the middle of the trial, the state didn't know who Mary Doe was. Mary Doe was a made-up name, just like Jane Roe was. And they said to Sandra, we've packed your bag, you're going to get an abortion tomorrow, because she was pregnant. And she'd already had some children who had been taken away from the state. She had a hard life, but she never wanted to kill a child. She took her suitcase and fled to Oklahoma to avoid being pressured into having that abortion. And they said, if you come back and you don't say anything, we won't make you get an abortion. So that baby was also born and placed for adoption.
Wow.